Okay, this is a different kind of video this time, but I'm pointing to that, but it's got nothing to do with that. Different kind of video this time, but I'm hoping you'll enjoy it in some way. Okay, let's go to it now. Hello. Well, what an interesting turn of events this afternoon has brought. Basically, I did some shopping. I sat down to have a decaf coffee, which is, my drink of choice really these days. And I got talking, first of all, to a woman from Hong Kong, a girl from Hong Kong who is studying the area, but she was visiting New Malden High Street instead of Kingston. Got talking to her, didn't achieve the phone call that I wanted to a very good friend. And then, while I was there, I bumped into another friend, Korean friend actually, and actually who lives in London, but was down shopping at H Mart. Anyhow, these events took place between the two well-known Korean cafes in New Malden that are opposite each other. The Place, which is where I was sitting initially, and then the 63 High Street, which, although not as established as The Place, it's the only dog cafe, if you want to call it that. It does dog accessories. Plants is one of its main things. It does plants and of course coffee and cakes and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I bumped into him, met him, said hello, and was quite surprised to see him. What happened next was I got on the phone to my friend and did the call that I was initially going to do. This is a very good friend. We speak pretty much weekly, more or less. And whilst on that long phone call, I was pacing up and down the high street, I suppose, and at New Malden High Street, in case you're not aware, that's where I'm currently living, which is the UK's Koreatown, London, if you want to call it London. It's kind of in London zones, but it's well out of London. So then this is when events really briefly but strangely turned. Essentially what happened was I saw this what I assumed was a Korean group of friends. I mean, essentially a Korean guy, a young guy, two Korean females with their masks on, sitting on the bench. This was opposite Bingsu, which is another well-known cafe, Bingsu and Cake and Bingsu in New Malden. Now, this English guy, very English guy, was kind of having a go at them. I could see there was some tension. There was some sort of I could feel this feeling of racism. And I approached them. My friend sort of said, "Can you hold?" Which I actually ultimately forgot about. In my pocket she went, but I temporarily forgot. But basically, I not intervened. I'm not someone who's ever got in a fight or had any punches blown to me, but I was a little bit scared. But he was kind of saying, "This is our country. What are you doing here?" And bear in mind, this is Koreatown. There's in this area, there's 15 or 18,000 Koreans in this kind of area, maybe including Worcester Park and Kingston. But there's let's just say almost 20,000 Koreans, north and south, if you want to separate them. But there's south and north Koreans here. The fact that he lives here, and I think he was accusing them of changes for the worse, which is ridiculous. I mean, Koreans have been coming here, I think, for half a century and settling here. So I intervened, and I couldn't watch this. My heart, my empathy, and my sympathy. I couldn't stand and watch this happen to. I won't say defenseless, because they were actually the young Korean guy was doing a very good job at defending himself if he needed to defend himself. That's what he was doing. He was doing a very good job. But I just couldn't let this English guy, get away with this. But anyway, so their conversation was finishing, and I was there, and I said, what's all this about? And the guy turned and was saying something like, "You keep out of this," or "It's none of your business," or something. I can't remember the exact words. I did say, I think that's when he mentioned that these people are taking over his country, which is ridiculous. The even notion of a place being a country is kind of being unique to one type of person is ridiculous in my opinion. And so I even said to him, I said, you know, why have you not ever been abroad? Have you not ever been anywhere? Because I wanted to, you know, to show the fact that, you know, you can go abroad. It's all right for some people to go abroad to another country, but not other people to come here. And not only that, it's okay for you to appreciate Spanish culture and not an Asian country culture, for example. So I think he retorted and said, shut up. He retorted and turned to me and said something like, you know, shut up, or the, you know, the W word rhymes with anchor. Anyway, and he said it a couple more times. I said something else, but he walked off. But I spoke to these Koreans afterwards, you know, shared my connection with Korea, but it wouldn't have mattered if these were Korean or not. I do have a special place in my heart for Korean people, but also other, you know, other ethnicities and nationalities and, you know, cultures, groups of people. I mentioned I've been to Korea 7 times, and what have you, mentioned Sewol, which is the ferry that you know, in 2000, basically 7 years ago, the ferry that lost 300 individuals to the sea, or that were lost to the sea. Most of those were children, school children. And that's, I don't want to get political, I've got enough videos about that, but I will say that, yeah, I couldn't let that go. And then afterwards I resumed the phone call with my friend, which I went back to my pocket, and I suddenly realised that I was on the phone to her. I asked her to hold, and I completely kind of got blown away by the moment. So that was it. I just, you know, some of these, I don't normally find this kind of thing happening where I currently live. You know, I've only been here a couple of years in this particular place, but when it does, you can't just, you know, let it go, really. I think that guy as well, I think it's the same guy. If he's not, and he seemed very much like the one I have seen, he kind of goes along the street muttering things like, you're all sheep, as in to anyone who's wearing a mask. And I'm not talking about Koreans, Chinese, whatever. I'm talking about anyone, as if we're all, you know, duped into this worldwide issue. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to do a quick video because it was a very weird event, and I just couldn't let, you know, I respect other cultures, and if someone's going to do that, just grow up, you know, just grow up and just, you know, just go back to school or something, or go to another school. You know, I'm talking, he was like, by the way, I said I was going to end this, but he was not a young person. He was middle-aged. He was a middle to oldish man, I suppose. Yeah, anyway, maybe he had his reasons or his, you know, something, but he can't be justified. Anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to say, guys. See you later. There'll be some more good videos coming up soon. Subscribe, like, hit the bell, and if you want, you know, mention something in the comments, any experience you might have had similar to this. All right, cheers, guys. Keep well. See ya. Bye.